Our community was struck by tragedy, the loss of Eric Green. Eric was a 7th grader here at Trottier that was a beacon for so many people's affection. When he passed, our community was tested and a resolve was measured. The community came together in so many ways, and we could go on and on. I'm looking at these faces, dozens and dozens of ways that we came together at that time. But the care and compassion that everyone has had has been irreplaceable. In moments of tragedy, everyone wants to say or do something, but they aren't quite sure what to say or what to do. I'm sure we can all relate to that in one way or another. But then when we have a moment, we take pause and we figure things out, amazing things can happen. And that's when Mr. Clark comes into the picture. We knew we had to be there for the kids, and over the conversations that we had had in the aftermath of Eric's passing, countless times, it came back to a few very simple words. We have to be there for the kids. And I see that dozens of teachers that are here now, and I don't know how many students we got here, it's absolutely fantastic. But I look at these faces and I remember looking these people in the eye at one point or another saying, I want to do more, I want to say something. But I remember seeing Jamie, and it wasn't a matter of what he said, it's what he did and how he carried himself that helped the community grieve and move on from an amazing time. And then we decided, well, let's write a book about it. Why not? That's when Meredith came in. When you guys get the chance to read it, you will see that the perspective that was brought into this was just so important. And we don't often get a chance to reflect. I mean, we often say, let's take time to reflect and let's take time to pause, but we don't often do. We're in such a hurry going in 1,000 different directions. But when you take the time to pause and you get a chance to read the book, you'll know just how amazing it was for the community to come together. And I thank all of you for that in one way or another. Before we move on to the more entertaining portions of today, which I'm sure it will be, I want to introduce a few people that are here with us. First, I'd like to I'd like to introduce our state representative for Southborough, Carolyn Dykema. She's in the back of the room. Superintendent of Schools, Christine Johnson, who is also in the back of the room. Former Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Charles Gabron, in the back of the room as well. Former Trottier and Neary Principal, Miss Linda Murdoch. We do know, Mr. Clark, we will mention the teacher, but there are dozens of Trottier teachers here from many years ago, so this is great to see everyone. Also want to introduce Mr. Gary Hirschek, our assistant principal here at Trottier. And this is Susie Green. Where's Susie? Eric's mom is here today. She has a speech prepared. You're coming up next. And I certainly would be remiss if I didn't mention Jamie and his family who are here with us today. First, his wife Colleen.
Where's my mother?
Where she is. Mr. Clark's children, Megan and Bridget.
If the female Clark stand up, it won't make
I know.
I need a place to stay tonight.
Yeah, I know. I think you'll have some options in this room. I think you're covered.
Like, is he going to be an NBA player?
I don't know. Jamie's mother and father, Maureen and George Clark. Jamie's siblings, Brad Clark with his wife Elizabeth. And Laura Brand also.
Where's Laura?
Where's Laura? We have 2 nieces and nephews, Maureen Brand, Tom Brand, and Meredith Clark are here. And Jamie's sister-in-law, Casey O'Brien. So I did that all right.
Well done.
All right, Next, I want to introduce Meredith O'Brien. Has worked as a newspaper reporter, an investigative journalist, a blogger, a mom, a faculty member at a university, and it just goes on and on. But Meredith has done an outstanding job of capturing this, and she wants to take a moment to say a few words. Meredith O'Brien, everyone.
Thank you everyone for being here, and thank you Keith for the warm welcome and for making this happen, because without your green light, nothing was happening. I mean, this guy, when I first floated the idea to Mr. Clark, I think he said yes before it even came out of my mouth. And I kept saying, wait, you need to check with Mr. Lavoie. Wait, you need to check with your wife to see if she wants someone asking all these questions.
More of a yellow light than a green light.
And so I know that your approval was tantamount, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate how responsive you were every time I'd send you these emails saying, what are the dimensions of the band room? You'd be like, what? And he'd send me these emails back, and I'd send him all these detailed questions, and he said, well, we have to go in the archives and find out this information. So he was very good.
I had to walk off too.
I can only imagine. And for this event, I want to thank, there are so many people to thank for this beautiful room and the food, and for making this day possible and making it so I could just come here, show up, and talk and sign books. So I hope I don't miss anyone. I want to thank my husband, Scott, my friends, Deb Scaringi, Gretchen Hartnett, Lise Thorup, Sharon Shoemaker, Kelly Hurley, Debbie Keefe, Amy Richardson, Colleen Clark, and Susie Green, who pulled together the food and the amazing decorations. And if you notice on the centerpieces, those are music from 3 pieces that they played during the year that are in the book, so that there are special, the music is special for the for this particular band. I also want to thank my kids, Abby, Jonan, Casey, and Maggie Shoemaker, for pitching in and helping set up this morning. Without all of you, we couldn't have this event. And I wanted to especially thank the Green family, and Susie is here representing them. Now, I know this book was born out of a tragedy, your tragedy, but I hope that by reading this and seeing the tremendous impact that your son has had on so many people, and how he has formed the core of so many friendships that are so strong, that you will feel buoyed by how much Eric still lives in the people in this room and beyond. And we miss him, and we thank you so much for your blessing for this project. Thank you. I see some of those hulking students over there. How many of you guys were members of the 2012-2013 Big Band, the year that I was watching you guys? Raise your hands. There's some over here too. You guys are the reason that I came here, and I was that creepy lady in the corner with the notebook writing everything down. And you're like, what is she writing? I know, and I wanted to thank you for letting me kind of be a fly on the wall for your year at Trottier, and for some of you, the members of the graduating class of 2017, who graduate in a month or so, for watching and letting me observe your last year at Trottier. And it was amazing to watch you go from a group where you had this piece and it was a disaster. And a week later, you'd be playing and it was perfect. I'm like, how did that happen?
It wasn't perfect.
He's a musician, so he had
It was
to
very
educate me.
good.
To me, don't listen to him. To me, it was really, really good. But I wanted to thank you for letting me be part of that. And is there anyone I'm missing? Anyone who I haven't thanked? Who needs to be thanked? Maybe that guy. Now, I want to thank Mr. Clark, was obviously the very first person to agree to do this project. And then he literally opened up his life to let me observe everything so that I could write a book about him and his band. I met his family. I went to his hometown. He took me to his high school where he used to cause trouble. I met his dog Riley and played fetch. I had dinner at his house. And he has been an open book. And he has been very supportive in answering all my questions. And I really appreciate your willingness to speak with me. And it was an amazing thing to watch how you work with your students, because it was something that I wouldn't have been able to imagine had I not been in your band. So thank you.